Good morning. Episode 16. Tea with Maya. It's going to get interesting. I went in yesterday. This week, I'm starting back on the gym floor in a part-time role. One of my friends became a general manager at a gym in Central, so managed to swag a little part-time gig. Figured it would get me out of the house, get me moving and grooving again. Nothing gets worse than when you freed up your own time to work on your stuff. You do your stuff in the allocated time, and then you allow the rest of the time to start creeping back into old patterns. Just were sneaky. Just were sneaky. It's amazing what we can allow ourselves to get back into and to do. And for me, I think the more incredible thing to have observed over the years is the visceral reaction to slowing down and to resting and to calming my nervous system, and how crazy that has felt. Like I have on purpose had to force myself to not just run around like a headless chicken and spread myself too thin again and go through that same cycle of burnout and falling flat on my face. There's something about this longevity, playing the long game, getting yourself prepared for the long run, and slowly but surely truly observing and learning your own rhythms, your own wants, your own desires, your own needs, your own pieces of the puzzle. Because I think it's where it's where all the answers lie, within. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's so annoying because it's true. And it's so annoying because you can't jerry-rig that work. And it's so annoying because what that looks like to everybody is so different. And it's so annoying because the thing that's going to start pulling you towards it is not going to be the thing that's going to actually help you solve some of those wounds, which means, by definition, you're on a roller coaster. Building a business, building a personal brand is even more of a slap in the face with all of that. That's why they call it personal development in disguise. It really is. You have to learn very quickly to become aware of what you don't know. And it is difficult when you don't know. And very quickly, you become aware that there is so much you don't know. So much. And I don't think the level is actually ever complete. Oh, oh, we play funny games. We play funny games. But it's this, it's watching where the energy is moving and where you can find your in. I was on my agency call last night with the guys, and even Clifton was saying it's like, as he's reaching those new heights, right? So having built the ghostwriting agency from working full time, doing it on his laptop as a solopreneur, building up to a core team of 5. I mean, the team's a lot bigger than that in terms of the amount of ghostwriters he's got on roster, tech, back end, web dev stuff, customer success journey. He's got lots of different people helping build this machine, but the company has been built now over to 2 million annual recurring revenue. That was by one person. And now he's funding jobs and lives, and he's built his family a house in the middle of Alabama. Like I don't want to say the American dream, because I don't think it is just the American dream. I feel like this is a dream for a lot of people, like to be able to find the things that you enjoy, or at least for now, find the things you enjoy enough to monetize. Because this is where the conversation, I feel, can take two sides, and there is a lot of backwards and forwards, and being able to hold both perspectives, I feel, is quite important, but at the same time, observing where you are in the ruts, because awareness is a curse. when you keep telling yourself you want things that you don't actually want, if you're not doing the slightly deeper work, because then you get into that cycle of banging your head against a brick wall, thinking again, I should want this, and then why am I not aligning to it? And your body will know. It's this odd push-pull where I've seen what we're capable of forcing ourselves through to make money or to build a business or to build a life. But it's amazing how we can push ourselves through that, but we're not prepared to take the time, or we're not prepared to be courageous enough to push through the initial uncomfortable feelings of starting something creative or something that excites us or something that actually lights us up. I don't know what that fear is, because I think it's easy to sit there sometimes and label it. Sorry, my nose is running a little bit, so I might have to get a tissue in a second, so don't mind me. I think it's easy to sit in a thought process of fear of success. Oh, so terrified. What if it'll all work out? And you can kind of realize that you do get terrified. What if it will all work out? I think there's... What am I trying to say here? I guess the topic that I'm finding seems to keep coming to light. And I mean, I guess the topic or the root that I'm trying to find out through all of this, which I know to be true because I've seen it, but it's also very easy to doubt when it's your own. When you're in it, but you also have to push yourself through at some point to realize nobody else can embody it for you but you. Money is green energy, coming and going. What's that? Just made me laugh. Granddad, I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the regular Buddhas when they sit. The Buddha in Hong Kong sits like this. He's got one hand up like this, one hand open, one hand receiving. Giving and receiving, that's the sign of the Buddha. So, giving and receiving. Why are my notifications coming through? Sorry, that completely disturbed me. I can't pause it. Never mind. Giving and receiving. That's the give and take. And I think it's one of these cycles that a lot of people haven't either quite figured out yet, or they know, but then they doubt. So this just makes me laugh. When Granddad came and visited Hong Kong back in the day, took him to the Big Buddha for the first time, and he's sitting like this. And Granddad was like, what is he sitting like that for? What's he saying? Give me money or I'll hit you? And I feel like that's almost the tack that people come into marketing with, where it's like, what do I need to say in order to get you to give me that money so I can, earn it? Instead of it being, here's what I'm doing, pay me for my value because I'm the right person. And it's this switch. It's the push-pull switch. It's the desperate pull for clients and numbers versus building an idea or a voice or a standard or some value and an opinion and an idea, and then building the tools to help people around that bring people in. Creativity is at the crux of this. It's funny, I pulled that card. I'll read it later. Well, actually, you know what? I'll read it now. It might help. Not help, but it might add to this conversation. Creativity, it's a beautiful card. Let's see if we can get that in focus for a second. Number 3. cinematic view is always great. All right, there she is. Right, so beautiful. Stupid cards. From the alchemy of fire and water below to the divine light entering from above, the figure in this card is literally possessed by the creative force. Really, the experience of creativity is an entry into the mysterious. Technique, expertise, and knowledge are just tools. The key is to abandon oneself to the energy that fuels the birth of all things. This energy has no form or structure, yet all the forms and structures come out of it. It makes no difference what particular form your creativity takes. It can be painting or singing, planting a garden, or making a meal. The important thing is to be open to what wants to be expressed through you. Remember, blah, blah. Remember that we don't possess our creations. They do not belong to us. True creativity arises from a union with the divine, with the mystical, and the unknowable. Then it is both a joy for the creator and a blessing to others. Creativity is a quality that you bring to the activity that you are doing. It is an attitude, an inner approach. How do you look at the thing? Not everybody can be a painter, and there is also no need. If everybody is a painter, the world would be very ugly. It would be difficult to live. And not everybody can be a dancer. There is no need. But everybody can be creative. Whatsoever you do, if you do it joyfully, if you do it lovingly, if your act of doing is not purely economical, then it is creative. If you have something growing out of it within you, if it gives you growth, it is spiritual, it is creative, it is divine. You become more divine as you become more creative. All the religions of the world have said that God is the creator. I don't know whether he is the creator or not, but the one thing I know, the more creative you become, the more godly you become. When your creativity comes to a climax, when your whole life becomes creative, you live in God. So he must be the creator because people who have been creative have been closest to him. Love what you do. Be meditative while you are doing it, whatsoever it is. And for me, that's the crux. And being now in an era where we have the tech available at our fingertips to bring more of these creations and these imaginations and the things that live in our brain to life at the click of a button, at the ability without it having to completely wipe out a budget, at like, it's amazing what we can make real. And I think we forget to remind ourselves sometimes of that. It's been really fun recently. We've been growing some plants on the roof, and I bought some little things to get some tomato plants growing and some seeds growing. But that process of creating something from nothing, every one of us possesses that skill. I'm going to say that's a human right. But I don't know where along the way. Well, again, I don't know where along the way. Society, we've done a lot of shit to our brains and creatives. Like, it still blows my mind. But anyway, it's possible. And at the end of the day, as well, what I get annoyed at is people complaining about the system or the this or the way things should be or the way things shouldn't be, and yet then they refuse to get themselves out of a financial situation that they're in order to actually do anything to help. I've definitely sat now with the conclusion that staying broke as a creative is fucking selfish. It really is. And my ethos around building and around getting visible or wanting to build and wanting to build my personal brand, wanting to build my business, wanting to find other creatives to work with is well, the ethos is simple. I genuinely believe more good people deserve to be earning good money because good money in the hands of the right people only does more good. Money is a catalyst. It's the same as like AI. It's not, it doesn't care about the thing. It's a tool to be used, and it scales accordingly. So if it's getting into the hands of the wrong people, it's going to be used for the wrong things. If it's getting into the hands of the right people, it's going to be used for the right things. And we're definitely at a very much of a divide where, with what's happening with the internet and with everything that's speeding up now with AI, there's a lot more crap and a lot more chaos online. But it doesn't negate the fact that humans are still searching for connection, for soul, for life, for meaning, I guess. And if you have an idea and you're half inclined, you get to go build something. You get to go bring something into fruition. And it's a frustrating process because it's not always going to work. It's not always going to be sold out. I think that's another element that sometimes kicks in along this journey that can be frustrating, but you also, when you step back long enough, you realize is part of the journey. It's like, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's never just gonna go up, 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 up. But it is allowed to go from good to great. This isn't saying that there aren't going to be bad days, but I feel like, and again, I can't speak for you guys, but speaking for myself, I know the sheer amount of doubt that I carry around with me on this journey, even considering I've been someone that's been watching it for so long, and I have witnessed people get themselves out of debt, depression, crazy situations, figure out their voice or their direction online, put in the effort of creating content to help a demographic of people that then when they create an offer, they bring in the income to then support what they're doing. Like, this isn't rocket science, guys. Like, we know how it adds up. Have the offer. Give it to people. Provide the value to the people. Rinse and repeat. I don't know why we take it so personally, or it's the ego, right? It was Mark Manson when he was talking about. I loved his documentary on his book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and I remember in the documentary at some point he narrowed it down to entitlement, and that got me because I was definitely carrying around the entitled expat flag for a while, in terms of saying certain things that I would or wouldn't do in order to get myself out of a certain situation, but then at the same time always kind of sitting there and saying, well, I'd rather be a waitress than do something I'd hate, or I'd rather be a waitress to earn some money to get out of myself for a situation in order to do something. And I haven't been wanting to do that for a while because I felt like coming out of the agency that I was building and that relationship and the fact that I'd allowed myself to get trodden over like that, and I'd allowed myself to go so long in a relationship that I knew was not right, thinking that I could fix it somehow, thinking that if we pushed more or we got more or we did more, it would solve the rest of it. And I think this is where that weird push-pull is as well, when you come into these new teachings, or you realize how much more ease comes with a lot of this when you've done the work at the base to line up your, or did I use the analogy of a pool shot, right? You've got all these balls on the table and you're hitting your white ball, black ball, lining it up with the cue. If you hit it and it misses the pocket, it's not the ball's fault. That's your aim. You miss the target. And so it's your job then to go again, realign, and go in from a different angle until you've got all the balls in the pocket and the game's being moved around. But the way I see creativity and the way I feel so strongly about the fact that everybody is creative, I mean, you see it, I guess, I don't know where you guys are from. I'd love to actually know. Maybe put in the comments where people are tuning in from, would be fucking awesome. But in Hong Kong, I mean, it always reminds me of like this creative act, like whatsoever you do, do it lovingly and do it meditatively. And it reminds me of the security guards, usually around building complexes, or even say at like the Gold Coast Piazza area that we've got near here. There are security guards running the areas, or in some of the big buildings, you've got the guys at the bottom that, you know, wave hello for the lifts and stuff. And it's amazing how jolly these people can be. You know, when you see somebody that it's like, you know that that's probably not the job role that they've wanted, but by God, are they going to do the best job at it? It's like the janitor that puts a smile on everybody's face, or the cleaning lady, or the laptop lady that just, hello, you know, has that cheer about them, coming from usually some of the people that in society we think shouldn't necessarily be that cheerful. It's like those guys are the true masters of that, like finding joy in the mundane, finding joy in the things that you're doing. And I even remember when I left my agency, the ghostwriting agency job was allowing me to give me my base while I built up my other stuff on the side. I managed to get it so that I had so much free time that I had no more excuses for not doing any of my stuff, and then I still managed to not get it done. And so this is where this kind of fork in the road at this point, when my friend had said, look, we're looking for female trainers, you know, are you looking for something? And I'm sitting here going, well, I got dreams and things to do, and it's going to require some sort of finances, and clearly I'm spinning my own wheels doing my own stuff, and as easy as it is to get caught up in your own way, there also gets to a point where once you have found a rhythm or you have found a routine, no amount of pushing is now going to change what's going to happen. So like with this, I've got these sessions now that I enjoy. I love this. This is fun for me. Realizing that I can build this connection, realizing that I enjoy this kind of free flow chatting. Let's see if anybody else enjoys it too. But I think this is what it comes down to with a lot of this card and this creativity, and where we all go wrong. For some reason, as soon as we find the thing that we enjoy, that is easeful for us, that actually brings us more energy and brings us more light, we very quickly dismiss it as the thing that's not going to work. And that's then where the twofold comes in, kind of like the fitness thing. You've got a program. Now you've got to do it for 6 to 12 weeks. And not just do it properly and do it well. And then after 6 to 12 weeks, is it time to reassess? Like, this is week 4. I remember starting my daily emails with the commitment this year, and I know I've moved them now to 5 days a week, and I have done that by listening to my own energy, because I'm not also betraying that anymore. And I think that is part of the game, right? Learning that fine line between bulldozing yourself straight back down into burnout / making adjustments to create longevity so that you don't stop for so long that then the stop becomes its own rut again, that then you're having to pull yourself out of another rut in order to get things to feel light. And then just as you get things moving again, another rut comes in. And it's like, that's when you can feel like you're always constantly being, you know, taking 2 steps forward and then fucking 5 steps back sometimes. So hang on, I'm going to get a tissue and I'm going to blow my nose because this is annoying me. Hang on. Hang on. I don't have a pause button, so cover the mic. Yuck. That was a yucky one. I still remember that was the most hilarious piece of advice that one of my girlfriends gave me, and I've never forgotten it. You know, one of the kindest things you can do to yourself is not hold it in. That was an analogy for the toilet. Like, one of the kindest gifts you can give yourself is to relieve yourself when you need to go. When you need to go, go. Don't hold it to stop interrupting or, you know. And even that, the fact that we hold things in, or we don't, like, that feels so much better now. I just had to blow my nose, and I don't think you guys are gonna mind too much, because that's a human thing. You know, we all blow our noses. We all have to do silly things and burps and poops, and we are just odd creatures. And we have been very good at being conditioned into pretending to be these mildly not odd creatures, which I feel only makes us more odd. Because then we're all walking around trying to spot the person that can see through our own soul's eyes and goes, you know, this shit's fucked up. Like, find the other person that's going, yeah, this is not right. And then finding over there, and then it's like, okay, so we can have more of a normal conversation. It's interesting, but it's amazing how, like I said, during this last 5 years, like what has come up, what I've had to deal with, what I've had to address, what I've slowly procrastinatingly not addressed, we can only move forward as quickly as we can let go of the shit that we're bringing from the past. Like, it really is this how do we give ourselves this blank slate, give ourselves this grace, give ourselves this opportunity to make a mess and play and be silly again. And it sucks when you are in survival mode because you are not able to fully relax, because something's like that's where that I'm late, I'm not doing enough, I must, like, that's where your brain's trying to grab at these alternate options to make something work, to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy that that's the only way that it can work. It's another reason why I'm actually quite glad that I took this job, because like I said, I was allowing the work to now suddenly become more important than it needed to be. I wasn't keeping it light. I wasn't doing the reps and then allowing myself to go and rest for the day, or allowing myself to go and work or go and read or go and run. So it's like, if I'm not going to allow myself that free time to relax, then that free time now needs to be allocated to a money earning activity, because that also forces me into a different routine, and it forces my creativity to have to fit within its own schedules. Also kind of stress tests the creativity to see if you do enjoy doing it, because something I've realized, again, it's like when you do find the things that you enjoy doing, something that we like to tend to look at is balance or life. And you know, if you're feeling sick, don't do work or don't do this. But sometimes when I have a, you know, snuffy nose or I'm not feeling great, all I want to do is curl up with a cup of tea in a dark room with my light on and paint. I remember having that thought a long, long time ago, and the reason why I was putting off my art and putting off my creativity was because I kept saying to myself, I know I'll love it when I'm 60, so I can pick it up then. Try other things now, because the art you'll always have. But now I'm sort of realizing as I get on, it's like, well, why don't I make the art the front and center now, so that as I build, I can do the other things, having it supported by the main thing that I love, and have it that way around. Because I also know I'm going to get very annoyed when I get to 60 and start picking up paintbrushes, and I'm pissed off that I'm rusty, and God knows what's going to be dealing with arthritis or joints or at that point, or hell, even if I'm going to make it to that point. We don't know. We like to assume that we've got these long lives ahead of us and that we can push these plans further and further. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was, I think it was towards the end of last year, or it must have been a couple of months ago. There was this lovely, I think he was American guy, Johnny Art. I'd stumbled across his page. He'd been doing these beautiful charcoal drawings of animals. There was like an ostrich one that was like looking straight at you, and and it just made me so happy. And I started following his journey. And then it was either a couple of months ago or it was at the end of last year, and I suddenly saw one of his posts, and it was from a family member that had let everybody know that he'd passed and that he'd died. And he only picked up his paintbrushes again at 40. And it had only been a couple of years that he'd been doing it, and he was starting to make a full-time career off of it. And he was inspiring other people to pick up their art and pick up their creativity at an age. And just as he's starting to get his flow, he's gone. And so it makes me look at things like that, and it's like, well, then if I've, you know, allocated that as something that I can feel a connection to, and I feel is good for my soul, and I feel is meditative, and I feel is allowing me to pull my ideas together, why, again, we're funny creatures, why then is my being, or why then does sometimes the doubts come in where it's like, it's not worth it, it's useless, and all that sort of stuff. Worthiness and value, like, these conversations are big, but they're also they're also as only as heavy as we let them be. I think this is also what I'm realizing. Like, we get to... Oi, don't eat that. My gum on the floor, that's Lincoln. We get to allow these things to be as heavy or as light as we allow them to be a lot of the time. And I think it's only been in the last year now where I've actively been reminding myself that as I'm doing the work, it's allowed to be fun. It's allowed to be light. And I ask my clients, what would this look like if it were fun? What would this look like if it were easy? What does that look like? Because we're the ones that have to ease into it. We're the ones that are blocking anything else coming in. I feel like that's my last test. It's not test, but I guess the barriers to break down, right? It's like the how easy can I allow it to now receive the good? How easy can I make it for people to pay me for my services, pay me for my products, pay me for my value, pay me for my skills? How easy can I make it to help others? How easy can I make it to have that give and take, create that ebb and flow? How can I stay in that lightheartedness of seeing what's around me so that I'm constantly inspired to keep the creativity moving in whatever it is I do? Like, even that, bringing me back on the gym floor, it's been amazing to go through this little process and test my own panic alert. Like, I'm connected to that calm within now. I feel like I've built that connection. And it's only been since then that I've felt that I've had this conviction and confidence to, again, stand in what I'm saying, but also realize now that if I have these pieces and I take my own advice and I don't want to put pressure on the creativity to force it out, well, now the reps just have to be done. So my job is to get up and do these reps, to talk to you guys, to build this muscle of reaching out and getting the signal out there and showing others that it's possible by the doing of it. I mean, again, it's bizarre. It's all bizarre. Like, I don't even know when you're going to sit here and watch this. This could be 2 days later. This could be 3 days later. This could be a month later. This could be a year later. I'm very excited to start watching these actually a year later. But you can see where I've just been playing with the thumbnails now, and it's just like I literally had to go, fuck it. Everything was, there were too many rules again that I was putting on myself for how this should look, or how then I should show up, or how that, I'm getting to the point where it's like I wasn't even going to do it because my hair wasn't, or then I needed a shower first to make myself look. And it's like, no, the whole point of it being tea with Maja is that it's candid. It's morning. It's first thing. Hello. Pajamas. We're not pretending. Because if you can get to the point where this isn't an act, that's where it shifts. It can't be an act. I get that at the beginning it starts to be an act. Like, you have to almost put yourself into some sort of alter ego. That's actually a really good book. Like, this alter ego to get yourself into camera, to then stand there in the confidence. And it reminds me of even starting as a PT. Nobody knows that you're not confident. Only you know the level of that comes out. But if you're able to sit in front of a blank screen and summon the aliveness that is within you on a topic that brings you alive, holy shit, like, that's the magic that people are looking for. And it's not found in a framework or a prompt or it can only be felt. And it's this ebb and flow of the doing and the testing and the refining and the coming back to the drawing board and the going again and the starting again. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, slowly, but all of a sudden, you've morphed into this person that you don't quite recognize because you've come so far, but at the same time, it's still you. And you're like, holy shit, we can grow, we can change, we can develop. I always come back to that. We do not know how good our bodies are designed to feel, let alone have ever usually given ourselves enough of a chance to allow it to feel any kind of way. And your creativity comes through you. So clear the muddy waters. This doesn't mean you have to be a health nut to be fit, like to be creative. Some of the most incredible artists and philosophers of our time were drunken alcoholics and, whatever. It's not that. It's the and both. It's the fuel more of your creativity and whatever that feels more natural, but remind yourself of taking care of the artist and that it's not the drug or the condition that is making you creative, it's the you doing it. Because I used to be I say that because I used to be very stubborn with my painting and with my art, where it was like I could only paint if I had an 8 hour, day free. And that usually got to the point where it was like that never happened. So I used to paint overnight. And then it got into a thing where I couldn't paint unless I had a cigarette and a cup of tea and it was dark and it was its own environment. And then it became its own cage of expectations on the creativeness. And it's like that then also doesn't help. So yeah, it's this weird, ever morphing, ever unfolding thing that it doesn't have edges. And I think when we try and then, with the marketing or the this or we try and put these little boxes around everything, and that's where it also starts to go wrong. You don't need all these boxes around everything in order to get what you need out there. You just need the essence, you need the words, you need I don't even know where I'm, but it comes through you and it's in the doing, and no amount of the studying is going to stop you for like no amount of me reading books is going to get me prepared for doing this or doing more of this. Gosh, and we're already at 40 minutes. See, this is what's crazy. I always knew that the podcasting or the talking or the long form content, like I enjoy teasing out these topics and these ideas. I think it's going to be really exciting when I start bringing out some of these more like spill the tea episodes where I get you guys on and other creators where we just have a chat like this and it's open floor and we just kind of see where the conversation takes us. I reckon those will be hour and a half podcast episodes. But I like having those opportunities for things to unfold and to dig a little bit deeper. It's the same as where, even with my strategy sessions, I don't have them at an hour. I have them at 90 minutes because I noticed every time I had them at the hour, we were only just getting to the good stuff on the hour. And then it was almost like, okay, bye. So I'd always end up giving more than half an hour. And then I started to feel shitty that I wasn't sticking to my boundaries of sticking within an hour. And then I'm like, no, hang on a minute. There's a pattern that when we get to the hour and the good stuff happens, 90 minutes is a natural end. So have it as 90 minutes. If it finishes in 60, finish it in 60. Then you've even given somebody back more of their time. But better that than it always go over. Like ebbs and flows. Notice your patterns, notice your things, but spend some time actually thinking about what your desires are. And working then around whatever shame comes up with that. Because I think that's the biggest issue. There is no shame in the things that we enjoy or desire or we want to go after. We've only allowed that to be projected on us. So sit with a lot more of that and just know that creativity comes through you in whatever activity you're doing. Whatever activity you're doing. Doesn't need to be just painting or just this. So just find those little pockets of living in a more creative life and being more present with everything that you're doing. And I think that's more useful as a crux to start. But it's funny because when you're in it, that's not where you feel like starting. It doesn't feel like the most useful point to start. And that's why I take the long road with these journeys. Life, man. Anyway, that's enough for this episode. I gotta get some stuff sorted before going back into town. A little bit more team meeting today and onboarding, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.